she roars through the valley the high ridges form for her. She is the one who nourishes her banks and all the arable land near it. She is the lifeline on whom float the hopes of the people. In Ladakhi, she is called the Sindh Khabab, meaning from the mouth of the lion. Otherwise, she is called the Indus. This great trans-Himalayan river of South Asia is one of the longest rivers of the world, flowing for about 1800 miles and has twice the amount of water flow than the Nile. The river rises in southwestern Tibet at the confluence of the Sengye and Gar rivers at an altitude of about 18,000 feet. It flows northwest and then crosses into India. Flowing into India, it is joined by its first major tributary, the Zangskar River. The name of this river, which also finds mention in the Vedas, is derived from the word Sindhu, meaning river. The name of the word India is derived from the same word too. Our journey, on one of the most scenic mountain highways of the world, follows a course of the river upstream into a land called Ladakh. This is a journey that offers vistas we are sure you would have never seen before. It takes you into a contrast. First you see beauty, and then you see beauty that you have never seen. The first township reached in Ladakh is Dras. Dras is 144 kilometers from Srinagar. It is the second most coldest place in the world, with the temperatures falling to as much as 40 degrees below zero. The population of Dras mainly comprises of a tribe called the Dards, whose ancestors migrated here from Gilgit and other areas down the Indus Valley. The Dards who inhabit this wonderful valley are a community of Shia Muslims. In the 4 months of spring and summer, it is transformed into a charming meadow that is watered by the numerous small streams that form due to the melting snows. Further along the road, we reached the town of Kargil, the second biggest town of Ladakh, 204 kilometers from Srinagar. Kargil is situated on the banks of the river Indus. As you turn southwards into Zangskar, the fluttering prayer flags welcome you into Buddhist country. The glow of the Buddhist aura, inspired by the natural elements, offers a vast cover of serenity and comfort. It shines brightly over all this land. It is the light that guides all that it shines upon. A spectacular evidence of Buddhist faith is seen 42 kilometers from Kargil at Sanku, where there is a colossal statue of the Maitreya Buddha. In Lamaist metaphysics, the appearance of Gautam Buddha is not a singular occurrence. He is seen as one in a series of many Buddhas that have walked this earth. And in this series of Buddhas, the next to come is called the Maitreya, meaning the loving one. Many statues of Maitreya can be seen in Ladakh, but few match the grandeur of this one. This Maitreya is placed in a recess in the mountainside. The gentle gaze of the Maitreya has observed the centuries. It has seen what was, and it is seeing what is. Statues of this scale are by no means unique. Buddhist faith has inspired many civilizations to create marvelous sculptures to celebrate their faith. The two gigantic statues, now destroyed at Bamiyan in Afghanistan, was another testimony to their faith and skill. From the magnificence of the Maitreya, we cross into the majesty of the mountains. 25 kilometers ahead of Sanku, at the village of Thangbu, a beautiful panoramic view of the high peaks can be seen. Standing a shoulder above the rest is the peak of Nun, which rises to a height of 7,135 meters. Gentle beauty and hard ruggedness contrast and complement each other in Zanskar, without which the lure of this land would pale significantly. As we drive deeper into the valley, we find ourselves entering the beautiful valley of Rangdum. The gentle touch of nature has blessed this land. The grassy plains that extend far to meet the skirt of the mountains that surround it give the impression of it being a precious and guarded garden. It is a sparsely inhabited valley, with the people offering charm and warmth that is so inherent in them. The village of Rangdum, about 130 kilometers from Kargil, has a population of about 250 souls. It is the simplest of villages, with low houses made of mud bricks with blocks of stone used for marking their boundaries. Being preserved in isolation, Ladakh is one place where many indigenous crafts are practiced in much the same way as it was done in the yesteryears. One such craft is the weaving of a coarse fabric that goes into making of warm robes that you see people wear all over the place. This fabric is called pattu. It is in the shape of long strips of cloth around a foot in width, woven on a traditional loom worked by a single weaver. Working on a handmade loom, the weaver sits calmly and is brought here especially to weave this fabric.
मैं इधर ये बनाने के लिए आया है, पट्टू बनाने के लिए। ये लोगों के पट्टू हमने बनाता है और इन्होंने हमको मजदूरी देता है। एक पट्टू को देता है 120 रुपया, जिनको हमने 20 मीटर निकलता है। और ये 20 मीटर निकाल कर उन्होंने लद्दाखी चोगा बनाते हैं। ये भेड़ बकरियों का ऊन है, प्योर ऊन का बनाते हैं। पहले धोते हैं, इसके बाद रंग लगाते हैं और सिलाने के लिए लद्दाख ले जाते हैं। ये विंटर में पहनते हैं, सर्दी के मौसम में।
The onset of summer is a reason for great joy, and here it is welcomed with fanfare. In this land of predominant winter, summer is like a letter from a long departed loved one that arrives just once in a year. They celebrate it with gusto, and the celebrations go on throughout the day. The men and the women celebrate separately with great joy and feasting.
ये मेला खास ये बात है कि मेला जब हमारे यहाँ पर जब गर्मी शुरू होते है तो मेले का मतलब वही है, एक गर्मी का वो शुरुआत का मेला है। दूसरा यहाँ पर मेले में हमारा तीर कंपटीशन होता है। खास ये बात है कि तीर कंपटीशन में हमारा काफ़ी इंटरेस्ट लेते हैं यहाँ के लोग। इस कंपटीशन में इस साल कम से कम हमारा 25 नुमाइंदे हिस्सा लेंगे।
As for the men, they drum forth a contest amongst themselves that is the best loved sport of Ladakh, the archery competition. This is a contest that truly embodies the spirit of good and healthy competition. There is no stake that is being played for, and the young and the old, even some lamas from nearby monasteries, compete on the same platform. All that the people look for is a great day of fun and frolic.
यहाँ 250 का आदमी रहता है जनाब।
तो सब लोग खेती बाड़ी करते हैं?
हाँ, खेती बाड़ी करता है जनाब। टूरिस्ट में बहुत हमको फायदा आता है जनाब। ये कूली जाता है, जमींदार के वो।
आप चाहते हैं कि ज्यादा टूरिस्ट आए?
टूरिस्ट का साथ जाता है जनाब।
And when the festivities are over, silence descends again over the land. The only whisper to be heard is that of the wind. And even if you do get lost, there is always someone around to point out the way for you. Monasteries are the anchor of Ladakhi existence and offer support and guidance in every facet of their lives. Among the many monasteries that dot Zanskar, one of the more famous is Rangdum. Turning the wheel of their existence, remembering the Almighty with every turn, they hope for that ray of light which would shine forth through the window of their soul and illuminate their quest for understanding that simple question: what is the meaning of life?
ये गुम्बा 350 साल से ऊपर है। ये गुम्बा बनाते वक्त यहाँ पर कोई गौशाला कुछ नहीं था, खाली मैदान है। जो हमारा एक लामा है था, हेड लामा, जो गुम्बे का हेड लामा नहीं, पूजा के वास्ते कुशुक बोलते हैं हम। ये लामा जी है कुशुक नरिचम, उसका नाम बोलते हैं गिलगिशी टप्पा। उस लामा जी ने अपने उस वक़्त लद्दाख में बादशाह का ज़माना था। बादशाह जी को बोला था कि मुझे एक इस एरिया में, लद्दाख के एरिया में एक गुम्बा बनना चाहता हूँ, इसलिए मुझे को एक ज़मीन थोड़ा सा वो दीजिए। तब बादशाह ने कि इनको हुक्म दिया, आपने किसी जगह से अपना ज़मीन चुन लो पहले, कहाँ पर अच्छा लगता है, तब वहाँ पर हम दे देंगे। तब वो वहाँ से शुरू में लद्दाख से शुरू करके चंगथंग साइड से, ज़ंस्कार साइड से आकर यहाँ तक पहुँचा। तब उसको लग गया कि ये ज़मीन यहाँ पर गुम्बा बनाने का उसको दिमाग में पड़ गया।
In the barren expanse of Zanskar, you find many isolated little pockets of habitation where 2 or 3 families eke out an existence. It is a tough life, but they carry on with much cheer and singing.
Yeah,
Much of the summer is spent preparing for the winter. One product of the summer is dried cheese, which they sell and store as winter provisions. The living conditions to us seem harsh, but not for them, as they are content with the little that they have. A good hot cup of salted butter tea is enough to bring a smile on their faces. Living a life that is at the mercy of the elements, these people are happy in their isolation. The basic possessions that they have is enough to give them comfort. Some cattle and a few mule is all that they rear. In Ladakh, there are mainly three ethnic groups: the Mons, the Dards and the Mongols. The Mons first migrated from the upper side of Kashmir and its bordering hill districts in the 2nd century BC and settled down in Zangskar. The Dards migrated from Gilgit and occupied and cultivated lands in lower Ladakh. It is their good cheer that keeps them forever smiling and warm. You invariably come across one. They are the ones who make you wonder at what you are doing with life.
Usually in my holidays, I travel around the world. Yeah, this is my first time here in India. But I've been in other countries like in Asia, Cambodia, or Vietnam, or in Europe, Iceland, or South America. Is everywhere. This north of India is a special area, yeah, because it's a little bit different to the other India. Always I wanted to come here. I started my trip 3 weeks ago from Kulu to Manali Leh. From Leh I went to Kargil, from Kargil Padum. From Padum I hope to trek to Darcha, then to Kasa and Manali, and then come back. Really I enjoy my trip, and especially think so that the most beautiful way that I met has been from Kargil to Padum, because there is no lot of traffic, there is no very high passes, and it's very nice countryside.
Away he rides into the distance to further his freedom, which finds hinderless expression in this vast and beautiful valley. With every gust of air do the mountains and the clouds get together. The flowers spring out to bask in the sun. Padam, the headquarters of Zangskar, is set in a lake of greenery. With a population of nearly 1500, Padam is the most populous settlement of Zanskar. The Buddhist spirit of peace and quiet is the charming hallmark of this town, which is set in the vicinity of many monasteries. A notable monastery just 14 kilometers from Padam is that of Karsha. It is a nice walk if the weather is good. While we made our way to Karsha, we met a Swiss family who were walking down to the monastery. They had some novel observations to make on what they had understood during their stay in Zanskar.
The first time we heard about Zanskar was through a film made by a Swiss man who made this film and stayed 2 winters in Zanskar when there was no road at that time. He made beautiful films, and from this time we had always think one day we would like to come to Zanskar.
Seeing another culture, other people is always teaches you something about your own life, and my father was saying that Switzerland and some valleys in the mountains and Zanskar and Ladakh are quite similar, but I would say globally Switzerland and Ladakh are quite different in that I was really astonished, as was already said, that everywhere people are smiling, and yes, even though life is hard and it's maybe considered an underdeveloped country, well, globally people seem much happier here than they do in the cities in Switzerland. And I think that's something very important, that if Ladakh starts developing, that it should not lose this very important part of, yes, probably comes from the culture and the Buddhist culture, I don't know, but there is some happiness here that is something really, really strong, and that everybody, I think, feels it.
Karsha is the largest monastery in Zanskar. It is an imposing structure of whitewashed building blocks comprising of many chapels and residential cells. The essence of the monastery is seen in its teamwork. The spirit of camaraderie is inspiring as we see them going on with their daily chores, be it the drawing of water or the washing of clothes. The central building is an assembly hall that houses a vast array of statues, notable among which is one of Padmasambhava, the monk who introduced Buddhism into Tibet. Karsha overlooks a vast plain, and the vast plain looks up to Karsha, like a young child standing in front of an elder. A novelty in the monasteries is the presence of child lamas. Seeing them, one can trace all the stages it takes for a novice to become a lama. A lama is made, not born. Usually, it is the practice for a family to give its youngest son to the monastery for becoming a lama. The child is about 7 or 8 when he is given to take up religious orders. For the children, life in the monastery is one of instructive evolution. Here they are first taught how to read and write, along with the recitation of mantras for daily meditation. Buddhism is the filter through which all life is seen here. The ways of heaven were simply laid out on earth by the elders. A way that guides all by its very huge simplicity. The essence of the path was lit by them, and it is this flame that the future inherits to further its progress.
Gacchami.